What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm once again joined by Bakes.
Regular
Today-
feature on this channel.
yeah. Um, so basically, we're going to be talking about a topic that is not really talked about lately, but this season we have seen something that we haven't seen in a while, which is the league being very open, and this could be the start of the disintegration, in essence, of the traditional Big Six teams.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that statement?
Well, I mean, like the naked eye, like just the eye test. If you look at the table, you see at this current time it's the 7th of November. Southampton top of the league. Everton in I think 5th place at the moment. Got Villa up there knocking on the door. You've got all these teams that are like on a much smaller budgets. They are managing whether it be the systems that they put in place, whether it be the financial systems to get players that have underlying statistics, whatever the case may be. They are finding ways to say, hey, hang on a second, guys. If we keep doing what the big clubs are doing, we're not going to be able to keep up because they just got more money. So how can we take a different approach and compete with them? And they're finally doing that, and it's working. It really is working.
It is working.
So, talking point, I'm fascinated to see what your thoughts are on like whether this could be a long-term thing that we see, where we see the likes of Leicester consistently up there, Southampton pushing up, Everton, all these teams, whether it's possible for like an Arsenal. Okay, Arsenal did finish around 8th, 9th, whatever last year, but like for them for that to be a regular occurrence, or for Chelsea to drop down just based on the normal season, and that's just the way it could be. It's a very interesting talk.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting because you are seeing clubs like Leicester, clubs like Wolves, becoming very well run in terms of their management and how they spend money. If you look at Leicester's performance, particularly in the transfer market of late, it's been almost flawless. All their players that they've bought have contributed directly to the first team, and all the players that they sold have sold for profits and or huge margins. The only one that I can think of at Leicester that hasn't really contributed how you'd like is probably Kelechi and Nacho.
Yeah,
but that's it. I mean, they
brought him back in like 16, 17, somewhere around
there. long ago.
Yeah.
And you're really seeing those smaller clubs doing well, because I think when a club is run well by the people higher up than the manager, and they start making the decisions, not necessarily the manager or it being influenced by outside things.
Yeah.
You see them being able to compete, whereas there are some boards and management in the bigger clubs that will spend money for because of hype or something like that. United is definitely one that comes to mind.
Yeah, of course. In Liverpool have been, to be fair to them, they've been very like good with their transfers. They've only bought players that they thought they needed.
Yes.
The case would be. City, Chelsea tend to spend a bit more big. Arsenal tends to have wishy-washy transfers.
Yeah.
Like neither one are there. Yeah. So I think it's actually it very much like the way I see it at the moment is that the smaller, like I'm very much seeing I don't know if you watched the movie Moneyball, but a very similar situation to Moneyball, where the big teams of MLB back in the 2000s, you're not familiar with the movie and what actually happened in real life, but like the big teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, they all went off the main stats and all these different types of things to pick on to who they're going to spy and who they're going to draft and all these different types of things. And that, even though this happened back in the early 2000s, football is very much run like that today, like where it's just based on how the player looks, how the players, like stats aren't as crucial in football as I think in other sports. And finally, the smaller clubs are realizing, hey, we can tap into cheaper players and that kind of stuff by looking at the underlying statistics and saying, let's see what look. Our perfect example is the Shea Adams. Shea Adams, although yes, if you looked at him early in the season, obviously he's scoring quite a bit now, but you looked at him early in the season, he was missing lots of opportunities, but he was getting such big opportunities and such he was creating such good opportunities for himself. And you got to think eventually these goals are going to start coming, and they have. And look at the way Southampton are performing at the moment. They top of the table. So I definitely see the clubs are realizing that they're going to have to. They can't outspend these big teams. They're going to have to. They have made structural changes and management changes to be able to compete, and it's working. It is working.
It is. You make an interesting point about the stats there, because a lot of teams and a lot of people judge a player by three main stats depending on where they play: goals, assists, and clean sheets if you defend or goalkeeper. And there's a lot more to it than that, because as you said, there's other things. There's a very good thing to look at is expected goals, expected assists, key passes, key chances created, key opportunities. All those sorts of things all play a role in if a player is going to perform or not, or has the ability to perform. If you look at a guy like Mohamed Salah, when he came from Roma to Liverpool, he was, even when he was at Chelsea, he was never prolific, never ever prolific. Although I'm pretty sure his expected goals and assists were very high, but he was never. And at Liverpool, he was able to, especially in his first season, score a lot. Because even when he came to Liverpool, he missed so many chances, so many sitters. But he just But the thing is, the amounts of opportunities that he did create, or not create for himself, but were created for him, or he created for himself. It was just so many that if he scored 1 in 4, he was still getting a lot of goals.
So, scoring a goal a game, arguably.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I read it. So I don't know if you've heard me say this, but I read an article about Diogo Jota, because it was a very sudden thing as a Liverpool fan, as a transfer. It was the day after Thiago, and I hadn't even heard any rumors. You were the first one actually brought it to my attention, the day before it happened. And obviously, last season in the Premier League, I think he only played 2 games less than Mason Mount and scored the same amount of goals, which is not very impressive for a winger/striker, and versus a central midfielder in his first season in the Premier League. So, but in saying that, I did read an article by OneFootball, or someone at OneFootball, that said that if you look at Diogo Jota's stats at Wolves, they are very, very similar to Mohamed Salah's at Roma. And that's definitely something that would have been looked at would be looked at by management or whoever's looking at it at Liverpool, and that would have definitely been something they would have taken into account when signing him. And if you look now, across the front three, he fits in so well, and and it hasn't taken him time for him to adjust. So if you look at
no, I never actually realized that, but it's been a very similar transition. Although he's not starting, the way he's put it into that Liverpool side, when Mohamed Salah came, it's actually been seamless. It's been class.
See,
and he's scoring as well, which is off the bat, it's crazy.
See, and that's okay, and that's a club with money. Now, when clubs with less money are able to do this, and they are being able to do it now because of this way of management, as you said, they are now able to compete with these top teams.
I think Opta statistics has played a big part in this, because Opta, no one actually, I don't think Opta doesn't get enough credit for what they do.
Opta doesn't.
They create and they analyze and stuff. It makes the world of difference. I think even as a fan, just to be able to understand these different things and just be able to predict what people are going to do. It's wild.
It is. Talking about the openness of this season, if you look now, Southampton, of course, top of the table, of course, they played the game this week, but we don't know how the other games are going to go for other people, so they've got the points in the bag, basically. Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Spurs, Everton, Palace, Wolves, Villa, then Arsenal, then City, Newcastle, and then Manchester United after Newcastle, Leeds, West Ham, Fulham, blah, blah. So it's very, very spread out, to say the least. And the difference between first and 14th is 6 points. So
wow. Okay,
yeah,
I've got a question for you. That kind of leads to this question that I want to ask is, given the current affairs of football at the moment, especially the Premier League, do you ever think there'll be a invincible season ever again?
I think it would be foolish of me to say no, but I would say no in my lifetime, or in our lifetime. I would say no, just because.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure. Like, okay, excuse me for having a look now, but
this season, but
every team bar.
No, every team's lost.
Every team's lost. And most teams have lost more than once as well.
Yeah. So
besides Chelsea, Liverpool,
it's the first. I think it's the first time in over 50 years or something silly that no team has gone unbeaten within the first 6 games of a Premier League season or a league season in England.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have to see what the darts is like in 2 or 3 seasons to see if this continues to progress the way it is. But the way it's going at the moment, like, you would only think that the Premier League is just going to be this crazy division where it's a free for all almost.
Yeah.
And that's only going to. I mean, obviously, another talking point is with the whole Big Sixes. With this whole what's the name of the new cup that they're talking about?
The European Super League.
European Super League. I mean, obviously that would kind of instill back into place the Big Six to a certain degree. But I mean, you could almost argue that, like, if the Premier League continues in the same vein and the viewership keeps going up, I mean, I think 7 million people play FPL. That's pretty, like, I don't know stats, but that's pretty more than the people who flipping watch La Liga. To be fair, just outside of Spain. Sorry, please excuse me, but like outside of Spain, like, how many people watch La Liga? So I mean, the way the Premier League is going, you find people like, I mean, the facts of the Rodrigos of the world moving to like a promotion team.
Yeah.
Like Alphonse Areola coming from PSG to Fulham that are basically going to get relegated. Like, these types of things. You could always argue that the Premier League itself could become its own Super League.
It honestly could.
It's going that direction.
And of course, people say, Prem money, they get the most, and they do get the most. But I feel like the system that is set up in the Premier League, whereas the TV rights, money, and all of that and the commercial rights and all that sort of stuff is very evenly split amongst all 20 teams, allows for these kinds of transfers where they can pay the wage and that. Whereas in La Liga, it's all on proportion. So Madrid and Barca, who bring in the most, get the most money, which is just going to result in them being so divided from the rest, which you see. Apparently the Super League is going to happen. I really hope it doesn't, to be honest, because the whole thing about, because they said,
please familiarize me with the structure of this.
So the structure would be that there's founding members of the league who cannot get relegated from it.
Let's make an MLS. Why don't we?
It'll be but it'll be 50%. It'll be 50% would be the founding members who can't get relegated, and then the rest of the 50% would. But the thing is, how would you do that? And it's It would honestly,
thing is,
it would cause more
it's not
disparity.
as a football traditionalist, as like a lover of the pure game. Is it not just an attempt to just make more money and just make
Yeah, no, it is. That's the only reason. But at the end of the day, I quote you: football is a business.
Yeah,
So
no, of course, no, of course. But the
that
thing
is
is,
the
like,
reason.
I don't understand how. Am I correct in saying that this league is just going to be an additional league added to the calendar?
Yeah, but I think it would almost. I think teams would almost have to choose between Champions League and this, or especially English teams might have to drop like a Carabao Cup or something like that.
Yeah, I just don't see how players are going to keep up with the you honestly have to play like 3 times a week, and
Yeah,
the injuries. If you look at the injuries that have occurred just from this season, especially amongst top 6 teams or people that are playing in Europe, and like it's crazy. They can't bodies can't like these guys are machines at the end of the day. They cannot handle this workload. It's actually crazy. Like you can't expect them to do it.
yeah, yeah. I really don't, but it's looking like it is going to happen. I don't know. It'll
Yeah.
be it'll yeah. Also, another
No,
good point to make that I heard is when fans are allowed back. Do you almost think if this league is added that we're almost getting overindulged with football? That fans
no,
will
yeah, no.
that
I was
fans
about to
will
make this.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
Like
no. I was about to say. I mean, I love my Saturday is just watching footy or whatever, and my Sundays. I can see me doing this long into my old age. But I just think, like, to my future wife and kids, like, imagine if I'm watching my beloved Chelsea on a Saturday, a Saturday in the Prem, a Monday in the Carabao, a Tuesday night Champions League or Wednesday night Champions League match, and then a Friday night game in the flipping Super League, so that we can come back and watch a game on Sunday. I'm not gonna have a laugh.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna have a
exactly.
laugh.
And
It's
now
too much. It really
and
is too
now
much.
imagine that. Yeah, imagine now you a fan who lives in the city or wherever, and
Oh,
you
of
got a
course.
season ticket, got to go to games. It's not.
Yeah, it is too much. And like it's almost like a it's almost a way to get fans a bit more disinterested, because the more that
Yes.
there is, the less things start to matter.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're only got 1 or 2 competitions that you're focusing on, for example,
Yeah.
Prem, FA Cup, Champ, you can just hone in on those 3, and you can just say those are our objectives to get X, X, Y, and Z in these competitions,
Well,
and
yeah.
you can almost set goals as a fan, and you can but when it becomes too commercialized, it becomes too much, and you're away from your family, you're watching however many times a week, and you start to almost lose track of, wait, where are we in the Carabao Cup? You've been watching these guys.
Yeah.
What round are
No,
we in?
but
What are we doing?
that's what the point I was about to make. Like already, like sometimes I won't even watch Carabao Cup games already,
Oh yeah, same. So
and you can see clubs. Some clubs don't even take the FA Cup seriously, which is like the most
yeah,
historic.
it's sad. That's sad.
Which is
That is
very
sad.
sad because it's like the most historic. It's the oldest
No, I think
cup
it's the oldest top competition in the world.
in the world. Yeah. So that's already very sad,
Yeah,
and that's because of commercial things too. So
yeah, of course.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, I think most fans will agree, no matter who you support, no matter what the story is, like you don't want to see football is at such a pinnacle right now, and you only
yeah,
want to see it progress and for more and more people around the world to really start to indulge in the beautiful game. But that's not going to happen. It's going to have the exact opposite effect if like they put too much. Like remember when the Super Rugby changed to that thing, and fans didn't know what was even going on in their own
yeah,
tournament, and people were just like, "What am I watching?"
yeah,
It would honestly be a similar thing with just the sheer quantity of things you would have to watch.
exactly.
So yeah, let's hope that
Oh,
doesn't.
let's hope that it's at the end of the day it's out of our hands. But
Yeah,
yeah,
of course. Just two young adults sitting in South Africa just ranting about it. Not
exactly.
that the Premier League this week.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh well,
Um,
that was a nice chat. Thanks.
yeah. We'll round it off there.
Yeah.
Nightcap. Yeah.
Okay, guys,
So, yeah.
let us know in the comments what you think would if you would like to see it and why. Don't just say yes. Um, and drop a like. And
you got this far into the video.
yeah, well done.
Don't forget to smash that
Congrats.
subscribe button. You got this far, like
Yeah.
don't click it. And yeah, you'll be seeing a lot more of me soon. So obviously that's
Yes.
why you press the subscribe button. So
Yes.
sign out from the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Just gentlemen.